All right, I'd like to welcome our very special guest today. We have with us Mr. Larry Hankin. How are you today, Larry?
Actually, luckily, I'm fine. Yes, a luck of the draw.
Luck of the draw. We've had a real nice run of people from Breaking Bad coming on the show.
Oh, cool! Yeah.
So obviously, that's not your only thing.
No, but I'm in good company.
But you're in good company. So
the world's kind of a mess at the moment, and what we've been asking everybody when they come on the show is, how has the current pandemic impacted the way that you usually live your life?
Incredibly well. It was a blessing, and I'll tell you why. Because it sounds kind of strange that I just said that, but I was sequestered in place long before the pandemic hit. Like November I started because I was getting a lot of El Camino came out at the time, so I was doing a lot of podcasts to push that, and because of that I was getting a lot of publicity because of the movie, but I didn't understand what good it was doing me. It was helping the movie. So I thought, well, why don't I write something, so that, because the podcast kept on coming, and they kept on calling and saying, hey, we want to talk to you. And I thought, I should have something to sell, So I sat down, I started to write a screenplay. I figured it'd take, a week or two and knock it out. And no, it doesn't work that way at all. And I got interested in it. Basically, I started to take it seriously. So I started to write, and the more I wrote, the more I just wanted to get it finished, because I'm one of these guys who, I got to have closure on something I start. Mainly my art stuff. The rest of my life I don't care about. But when I'm doing something that's kind of artistic, or like writing or making a little movie or something. So I just kept sitting there trying to finish it, but I was so serious, and it takes so long. So it took me like 3 or 4 months. So my point being that I started at the end of November, the beginning of January, locking myself in my house for about 8 hours a day, just writing, and cutting off all communications with my friends. And they knew. I said, well, I'm writing. I can't meet you for lunch, or I can't, I'm writing. And then the coronavirus hit, and everybody has sequester in place. And I said, wow, man, I don't have to have any guilt about turning down invitations. I don't have to go anywhere. I'm supposed to sit here. Right. And I did, and I just finished it 3 days ago. So that's the coronavirus got me, and it's a really good screenplay. I gotta say, it's my best work yet. I've been writing for a long time, but I've never spent that much time on a screenplay, and I was forced to. A little kind of willpower and forcing myself, because of the doctors saying, the physicians saying. So that was why I kind of like it. Now that I'm finished and I've got free time, I can't go out, or, I can go out, I go shopping, and I go for a bike ride, I go for a walk. But it's really weird out there now. I guess for everybody. I'm just sort of getting into it now, because I wear gloves, I wear a mask, I wear dark glasses because my eyesight, too much sun is not good. So I look kind of weird out there. And a lot of people, because I live near the beach, I'm on the West Coast here in Santa Monica, a lot of people are not wearing anything. Well, bathing suits they're wearing, but I mean, they're not wearing protection. And they look at me like I am weird. And I'm looking at them like they're weird. No, you don't understand. I'm protecting you. You are not protecting me. So I've got the bitch, not you. I'm walking 12 feet. I keep 12 feet from everybody. So the little perks about it is, when I see somebody walking down the street, like a couple or two guys talking, two women talking, no masks, nothing, hey, blah, 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 blah. I go out into the street and I walk around them. And the other day, just I was walking down the street, and down the street I see, two guys walking and talking, no masks, no nothing. And so just as I'm about to step off the curb and walk around, they walked around me, and I thought, wow, man, how gracious. But still, put masks on. So that was kind of a surprise. But yeah, like I'm the interloper out here now, masks and a glove. It's really weird. And people are exercising and running. It's the beach,
Yeah.
So the only safe place actually to walk where you're not really bothered by anybody and people are polite about it and walk around you is when you walk on the water's edge, right by the wet sand, right where the, it's kind of firm, the sand there. Well, there's a lot of people walking on the beach. You're not allowed to stop. You're not allowed to gather, but you can walk and you can keep your distance. But everybody is spread at least 8, 9, or 10 feet apart. And if they see you coming, that's the only place where there's manners left, or any kind of safety or thought about. And a lot of them are wearing masks. More people are wearing masks walking on the beach than are just around the beach, It's weird. It is weird times. And for the first time in all this time, I got a haircut today. So that was a weird experience. Going to, it was the first time I ever entered any kind of shop besides, a supermarket. And that was a weird experience. There's nobody there. I went early. It was the first day of their opening of the shop. And everybody's wearing masks. Everybody is wiping everything. And so I was kind of relaxed. It's the only place I've been, in a new store where I felt everybody is paying attention. It was cool. It was okay. So that's kind of nice. But I don't know about, and I knew, I have my own hair cutter. I always go to her, she knows what I want and stuff like that. So I trust her. I trust that she's taking care of herself. She's got a kid. So, she would be protecting the kid too. So I felt safe, but I don't really feel safe in going to restaurants yet, So the takeaway from the whole thing is that, like I have a lot of my father's instructions, tapes, bad tapes, don't do that, be good, say please. They're still in there. I find every once in a while I'm doing something, that's my father talking, man. Well, and that's, years. That's when I'm 15, 16, 17. I'm not that age anymore. Coronavirus is in our heads, man, and I see it all the time, and it's going to take years to get it out.
Yeah.
We are not it, but we are changed. Our thinking of how we go about everything is in there now. It's like your father. It's like your parents. It's in there. In tapes, and that's going to be interesting. When it's all over, and it's, hey, you can do whatever you want, blah blah blah, and that little thing in there, but be careful and don't breathe on me and don't get too close, and
keep your distance.
You're gonna have to reestablish saying hello to people on the streets. Now, the best that people can do as far as communication and recognizing your fellow human beings. If you don't have a mask and I have a mask, or if you don't have a mask and I don't have a mask, which I always wear a mask, people, at least when you're passing by, they look the other way. Like this, you're over there. That's becoming a tropism now. I don't even think people know they're doing it. They just blah 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 blah. It's just so, and a lot more. I'm just starting to see it now. But so that's the takeaway of coronavirus. How we're going to be afterwards. Us, not everything.
Yeah. Whenever I hear people say when we return to normal, it's like, no, that's not a thing anymore.
No,
it's gone, man. It's gone. And just like this is a new virus, I mean, we have to learn about it. The doctors have to learn about it. we're going to have to learn about what normal is. You know,
We had a chance to
people
reinvent.
don't like learning new stuff. You know, you tell them, you know, walk on the sidewalk or don't make a left turn here. People get, what do you mean? I always make a left turn here. What are you talking about?
It's my right to make a turn if I want.
Yeah. I have to go around? No. What do you mean a detour? What the, you know? Homo sapiens are really strange people. I don't refer to us as human beings. You know, I refer now as Homo sapiens. We're a species. The pandemic nailed us as a species. We are not, you know, humans. No, we're like, you know, ducks and like birds and like, you know, we get viruses and or like dodo birds, you know, we can be gone, you know, we're a species. Yep. No guarantees, man.
Yeah. We got a lot of pretty shit we dress it up with.
Everybody was thinking, well, we're human beings and we're, you know, the Bible says we take care of everything.
No. Yeah, not so much.
Not so much.
Well, one of the things we like to do on our show, and the reason we had you on.
Well, what about what I like to do?
Yeah. Well, hopefully, hopefully those things dovetail. So when Aaron and I started our show, we basically each of us brought in an album that we liked to talk about.
Yeah.
And while we enjoy doing that, we thought it would be much more interesting to hear from celebrities about their favorite album. So when we reached out to you, you mentioned that Bob Dylan's Highway 61 Revisited is an album you wanted to talk about. So can you tell us a little bit about your relationship with that album?
Well, the reason I picked it, and the reason because it's so old, is because I have a relationship. I mean, and it's the only record that I do have. I mean, I'm not a music aficionado, but it came out in 1965, and that was a very heavy time for me, learning, not growing up, but learning. I was an adult by then, but I was in the committee at the time. And there was a factor which I just found out a couple of days ago that happened about that album and me. I was in San Francisco. I was in the committee, which is like Second City. We were offshoot. All of us had worked there. And we said, let's go to San Francisco, start our own company. So we were there. It was our fourth year. We were building. So around 64, 65, when that album came out, we were at our height. We had just, in other words, our curve was going up. We, when we opened, our rule was, we had 6 people in the company. The rule was if there was more people on the stage than in the audience, we didn't have a show. So that's how, low we started. And then we were packed house lines around the block. In 65, and this album came out. And I was just starting, I came from a very, not religious, but right wing. It wasn't even right wing. It was like no education, no curiosity, no books, no learning. No, you go to school, you learn that, say please, say thank you, go to bed early, all that stuff. So when I graduated college, Syracuse, as an industrial designer, I didn't want to do anything but be in show business. I didn't want to have anything to do with parents or rules or anything. And I didn't care what I did. So when Bob Dylan came out, I didn't understand him. That's what I'm saying. I didn't get Bob Dylan at first at all. I was in Greenwich Village when he was there, before he was Bob Dylan. I went to see him. In a coffee house, just another folk singer. But somebody said, hey man, go see this guy. I didn't get it. His first, second album was just folk songs. I didn't get it. So the reason I'm getting to is this is the first album. The album before that was Bringing It All Back Home. And there was a song on it, Mr. Tambourine Man. Mm-hmm. That was the first song of Bob Dylan's up to that point over that I understood. And Hamilton Camp, of Gibson and Camp, the folk singers, he stuck my head in a what do you call it? A speaker. I was waiting for him. We were going to go to the movies, and he was still eating. So I was waiting in the living room. He said, "Listen to this." I said, "You like Bob Dylan?" "No, I don't get him." So he said, "Oh, I want you to hear this one song." So he put Tambourine Man on. I was listening to it. He's eating, and he yells. And he says, "Wow, the song comes to an end. Did you get it?" "No, I don't. No." And he stops eating. He's eating with his family. He gets up, he comes into the living room, he puts it on again, and he moves me closer to the speaker. Yeah, the speaker was about yay big. He has a huge speaker. He moves me closer. He gives me a chair and moves me closer. He says, "Listen to it again." Okay, just hurry up. I want to go to the movies. Okay, so he goes in. The third time he came in, he actually took the chair away from me, and he made me put my head in the speaker, because it's kind of like curved like that. Put my head, and he said, "Fucking listen to this, will you?" And he goes back in and he eats. And I go, "One hand waving free." He says, "You getting anything?" I said, "Yeah, the one hand waving free. That's kind of cool." So he says, "Wow, it's finally getting it." I listened once more, and I got the whole song. Okay. Highway 61 Revisited was the next album, and all of a sudden, Bob Dylan became, this is what they're talking about. That just blew my mind. So the difference between where I started in Greenwich Village and not knowing anything about anything, I was just a funny guy, and everybody liked me because I was funny, and I would be talking about what everybody was talking about. But I wasn't doing drugs. I wasn't dressed like a hippie. I wasn't, none of that stuff. I was still, maybe jeans and a jacket or something. So Highway 61 Revisited was my first introduction to Dylan, where I suddenly saw, this guy's a writer, man. His images were amazing. So that's my attachment to it. And then Queen Jane and Highway 61, I would just play over and over and over. And all of a sudden, I was just like every other 15-year-old kid, who has a favorite album or a favorite singer. I never had that as a kid. So I was like, 65, I don't know, my early 20s or something. I don't know. But so I was going through like puberty at 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So it's kind of amazing that everybody else had been into Dylan for a while. And okay, now, so here's an interesting story about that. The same time, Dylan was doing concerts all around when Highway 61 Revisited came out. And he was playing Berkeley, and he came to the committee, and we're a big hit by then. And at the end of the show, the first show, at 2 shows a night, the end of the first show, one of the waitresses came backstage and said, "Bob Dylan's out in the lobby. He wants to talk to you." So I didn't know. I mean, how did he even know I was alive? I'm just listening to his record for the first time. I'm getting him. And the first thought I had in Greenwich Village, I did listen to it. Somebody said, go to the Cock and Bull, I think it was. And go listen to this guy. So I did, and I walked out, and everybody's there, and he was a little guy, and he had a big guitar that was as big as him, and he was surrounded by 13 and 14-year-old girls. And I said, "Nah, this is not." I don't know. So I left. Now I'm going out to the lobby to meet him in 1965. I've been listening to the record. He's doing and all I could think of was he saw me walk out of the Cock and Bull, and he's going to ask me why. That's what I thought. That's how naive. So I sit down, and there he is. He's sitting, and he's already surrounded by everybody else in the lobby. He's just sitting at a lobby table. It was a dinner, kind of theater. So you sit at tables out in the lobby, and then you go in and eat and watch a show. So I sat down. He says, "Sit down," and then he starts talking to me about he wants me to do a film for him. I said, oh, okay, Bob, because he was sitting with his road manager, Bobby Newirth, who's a good guy. He lives around here. You know, I see him every once in a while. He's a cool guy. But then I didn't know him. He was just Bobby Newirth. He's sitting the two of them together. And as he's explaining this movie to me, they said, oh, well, it's going to be in a bar, you know, and there's going to be newspapers on the wall, and Sammy Davis is going to be tap dancing on the bar, and we're going to set up bleachers out on a road, on a highway. And so, and I just, what? I wasn't ready for this. And then Bobby Newirth just goes, he gives him the elbow. He says, Bob, he has no fucking idea what you're talking about. And right in front of me, right? You know, we're sitting in a booth in a bar, and because we had left. He said, I got to get out of here. All these people around him. I don't know how he deals with that. He said, let's get out of here. So he said, no. And Dylan says to him, like, I'm not there. I'm sitting across from him. He goes, yeah, but let me explain it to him. Okay, look, Larry, it's a you know, it's going to be thing, and like all people, and it just, I don't remember all this. He was just throwing flashing images at me, basically. But I wasn't putting it together in any way. And then finally, Bob said, Newirth says, come on, let's get out of here. So he says, okay, fine. Now, okay, fine. When I checked, now maybe the album didn't come out yet, but when I checked the album, I think I did it before the album came out. Because here's what I remember, and I found this out just a couple of days ago. I do remember Dylan saying in the bar to me,
This is a good story too.
Am I off? I don't think nothing's happening.
Yeah.
You guys, are you familiar with those words to Highway 61? You don't have to be. Because I'm going to tell you what they are. But in the song of Highway 61, he says, and let's put some bleachers out in the sun on Highway 61.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You know what he was trying to tell me in that bar that I didn't understand, and Newirth said he doesn't know what the hell you're talking about? He wanted me to do a music TV video for the release of the album Highway 61 Revisited. And he was telling me all the flashing images on the songs on the album.
Oh, wow.
And right. And I didn't understand a word he was saying. So he left. And then and even when the song came out, and even when I bought the album and I was listening to it over and over again, Highway 61, I never put it together until I started listening to it again for you guys, because you said, you know, get an album. I said, well, that was the one that blew my mind. And I was listening to it and I heard, we're going to put some bleachers out in the sun, blah, 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 Highway 61. And I went, holy cow. It was so obvious. And that's how naive I was. So that's why I picked the album. However, you know, I have listened to it. I haven't listened to it in years, but I've always remembered those songs, Queen Jane and Highway 61. And it still blew me away. It still sticks with me. And Queen Jane and Highway 61. But there's a lot of great songs on it. And then I also listened to Bringing It All Back Home, which was, you know, my introduction to Dylan with Mr. Tambourine Man. And they're all great. And I suddenly realized how naive I was. That, I mean, to me now it's obvious what the guy's singing about. I mean, there's no, you know, it's just, I had no idea. So it proves to me how stupid one can be, and no matter how intelligent you are, man. It's just, I had no clue.
Yeah. Well, there was still, what, 15 years before music videos really became a thing.
Well, they became a thing so that I started to understand that it was a music video kind of he wanted me to do after about 2 or 3 years after that meeting. I just started to study because everybody started to see it. And then what I figured out was the reason that he was telling me so far ahead of the mass acceptance of it was because obviously he's a New Yorker, he hangs around in New York. He was living in New York at the time. And people were showing him stuff all the time, I get shown a lot of new stuff, just because I'm semi-demi famous. So he was probably being shown a lot of very experimental stuff like music, or probably even MTV phoned him and showed him, hey, we're going to do this with your next thing. So he probably had information that I didn't have and that we wouldn't get for another year, just because he's Bob Dylan,
True.
So that's why I picked it. Anyway.
What's funny too, and I thought it should have thought of this. I discovered this picture like 5 minutes before we talked to you. In the song, what's the first song on the album? I'm blanking here, and I know this song. Like a Rolling Stone.
Yeah. Oh, with that boom, that boom.
Yeah. And there's a line in it about the girl hanging out with somebody who has a Siamese cat on his shoulder. There's a picture of you from the 50s.
Yes.
With the Siamese cat on your shoulder.
Holy cow! You've outed me. That was taken in college at a friend's house, and he had a Siamese cat, and I was dressed like that, and I said, "Ooh, put the Siamese cat on my shoulder and take a picture of me," and the cat, for some strange, weird reason, as soon as he got on my shoulder, and I was looking into the camera, the cat looked into the camera. So it's a great picture of me and the cat both staring into the camera. And Siamese cats, I don't know if you know that, but they're cross-eyed. I don't know if you know that.
Yep.
So the cat's eyes are a little cross-eyed as he's looking out. So it's a great picture. And I never did anything with it. I just saved it. And one day I was, this is like years ago. I was, what the heck is that? I don't know. I was surfing the net, and I found it on a whole group of pictures of me.
Yeah,
there it was. I have no idea how it got out, but
somebody leaked it.
Well, yes, but I always thought that picture was kind of a little over the top. It was, to me, it's kind of cloying. It's. All right, Larry, you want to be famous, so, but keep it down, okay? Just back off. But okay, it's out there, so, it's part of my life.
Man, it was so funny because I had been looking at, I was listening to the album earlier, and, like a Rolling Stone, everybody knows that song. Yeah. And then I just happened to find that picture, and I'm like, oh my God, that's so perfect.
I got to get rid of it. Well, okay. I just deleted something, and I hoped it wasn't you guys, and it wasn't. So
no, we're still here.
So I always have a worry about. By the way, I'm dyslexic. I have dyslexia, very bad dyslexia. So sometimes I follow the wrong instruction or click the wrong button, and oh no, it's gone. I have no idea how many times I've done that in my life. Oh no. It's just it's just a reflex. It's oh no.
I'm having the same thing. Like we're using a Mac now, and I'm a PC guy, so having everything reversed is just throws me off.
Right, yeah. I've been through that. Where can't you change? Well, I guess now they can. Maybe I don't know, but back in the day, it was difficult switching.
So you mentioned a couple of tracks on that album that you really like. Is there any like one song that you'd say on Highway 61 Revisited that really like speaks to you?
Well, both of all. Here's the thing that I discovered. I haven't listened to it in years, but it's always stuck with me, and I'm a big aficionado. I mean, I follow Dylan now. I read all his interviews. I've got most of his albums, even the bootleg albums and stuff. So all my life, I mean, he's been in the background while I'm writing or stuff like that. It's just that lately, in the last year or two, I haven't been into music. I've been into films and trying to learn how to edit and stuff like that. So I haven't had time to listen to music. But when I listened to it, I found, and I listened to both albums, the Bringing It All Back Home, I found that I hear a lot more than I did years and years ago. In other words, each of those songs on that album, Highway 61, are stories that I can relate to. So that probably all of the songs on the album now are my favorites. Although when I was growing up and listening to it and doing the teenage thing, Highway 61 and Queen Jane always had lines in it that no matter where I was or what I was doing, as soon as he sang those lines, I would sing it with him, just a line or two. Now, nothing comes to mind, but when I was listening to it last night and the night before, just every line would just like pop out at me and go, wow, what a great line that is. Boom, what a great line that is. And then it does follow. In other words, but what he's doing, because I'm dyslexic, I learn eidetically. I don't learn linearly. I learn like animals learn. Just do it enough times and I'll get it. When I was learning to edit, I just sat next to the editor and I just watched his fingers and hands. And then when I got home, I just knew that to do what I want to do, his hands always went over here. Well, there's only 2 or 3 choices you could do over there. So it's got to be one of these 2, one of these 3. So I try that one. No, I try that one. Oh, the third one. Okay. Hunt and peck. Just visual, just learning. I'm the kind of guy who jumps in the middle. No, I'm the kind of guy who takes a helicopter to the middle of the jungle and walks out, as opposed to walking into the middle of the jungle and having a helicopter take you out. Mm-hmm. I choose the easy one first and the hard one last. So yeah. So anyway, the songs that I was always listening to was Queen Jane and Highway 61. But now I can't tell. They're all favorite lines. I mean, the guy's a great writer, man. There's a reason he's Bob Dylan. And that's just when I listen to those 2 albums. Although I've heard the other ones, the more recent ones. When I went back, Highway 61 was like, it was a guy who had just or was about to kick out the jams. That's what I liked about that album. It was a young kid who had just realized his strength. And okay, let's do Highway 61 now, all electric. Mm-hmm. Let's go. So that was the first shot. And when that goes, dum, chaka, dum, boom. The opening of that album kind of said it all about where he was at. I don't know if he suggested, but it was a young person just full of himself at the beginning, just going, okay, kick out the jams. And that power is in that album. Mm-hmm. That's what the album said to me. All the rest is now he's realizing what that album foretold. This guy, man, there's no stopping him. There's no stopping him. Don't try. Now, I was a stand-up comedian, and my guys were, Lenny Bruce and Richard Pryor. And when I got taken off the stage by police, I got, it bothered the hell out of me, like Lenny Bruce, because first of all, I'm just trying to be funny, man. I mean, and 2, I'm not doing drugs yet. I wasn't doing drugs when the police would I was just copying Lenny and Richie Pryor. That was the young kid, just, but those 2 guys, well, they they killed Lenny. I mean, I'm sorry, but they drove him to suicide, through his arm, suicide by arm. And, but Richie Pryor, and also Dave Chappelle, they had the guts, and George Carlin had the guts to keep going.
Yeah.
And I just got off the bus. And those guys, and I just waved goodbye. And I said, because I called my manager and I said, hey, man, I can't take this. I'm a middle-class Jewish kid. I don't understand cops pulling me off the stage. I don't understand the guy coming across the dance floor in a nightclub after I'm opening for the Kingston Trio. And I'm opening, and here comes this guy walking across the dance floor out of the dark with a fucking beer bottle upside down in his fist, saying, "Get the fuck off the stage. We want to hear the Kingston Trio."
Oh, jeez.
What? I said, yeah, right. Yes, sir. Boom, off the stage, The bartender goes, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Hey, man, did you see that guy come at me with a beer bottle?" And he says, "Yeah." I said, "Well, where's the bouncer?" He said, "I'm the bouncer, and you got to get back here. You still owe me 10 minutes on the stage. Kingston Trio is still downstairs." "No, I'm not going to. You tell him to get out of here." "Sorry, man. Just get the hell back on the stage. You don't get paid." And I said, "Well, I'm not getting back on the stage until he leaves." He says, "You're fired." I said, "Goodbye." Walked out full of umbrage, and walked out into a blizzard. It was in Massachusetts. It was in Boston. It was a blizzard outside. I had to humbly come back and say, "Can I use your phone to call a cab?" I don't talk to me like that. But yeah, so I mean, some people were brave and some people weren't. Dylan and those guys. I mean, you could see there's no stopping him. Nobody's gonna take him off the stage. So I called my manager and I said, "Hey, man, they're taking me off the stage. The guy just came at me with a beer bottle. This is not how I thought being funny was going to be. I thought funny would be funny. Thought it would be fun." He said, "Well, why don't you join Second City, because they're doing the same thing as Lenny and Richie is doing, but they own the theater, so they'll throw that guy out." So I auditioned for Second City, and that's how I got into show business and acting. I Second City, and then the committee, and then down to LA, from San Francisco. So
in the end, maybe the guy with the beer bottle did you a favor.
Well, no, because that's my first love. It really is. And I still, at my age, I'm still writing stuff that I want to get back on stage. And now you call it a one-man show. Yeah. And you go on HBO, But back then, you just had hunks, you did hunks, pieces. And you had a show, and you just moved them up and moved them up. But so yeah, I'm writing a one-man show now because I just want to get back on the stage. Because I mean, it's 1-to-1. It's like me talking to you, but sitting there with you. I mean, it's people. It's laughing. It's it's immediate. It's real. It's you're there with people. Yeah, that's my first love. Always has been. But there was no money in it back in those days. I mean, it was coffee houses, and then you start up, and then you do See, here was the problem. I could keep doing stand-up, and there was a lot of clubs. Like I was opening for Miles Davis, no problems talking or the cursing, and he wanted me to tour with him in Europe. So that would have been fine, except I didn't want to leave the United States. I thought there'd be more money here. That would have been better, not the beer bottle guy, but Miles. But the graduation point was doing television humor. See, I was opening for Woody Allen, and Woody started to go on to doing television humor, the Ed Sullivan Show, et cetera, et cetera. And I had the same. We had the same manager. So I went to Jack Rollins. I said, "Jack, man, Woody's doing television. He's on the Ed Sullivan Show. Why don't you do, He said, "Larry, it's two words. Show business. He has television material. I mean, he's not talking like you're talking. He doesn't do drug material. He doesn't curse. He doesn't say fuck. He does, he has, and I never wrote anything. I never wrote. I just get up on the stage and I would talk. The audience would give you 3 minutes because I learned in coffee houses. In the Monday night open mic was my teaching school. Monday night open mic night. And they had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday was open mic night. So you would get up and you just talk for 3 minutes. 3 minutes, you didn't need any material. You just get up and, you tell something funny you told your friends and then you're off. So I'd get up there, but I wouldn't get any laughs. I was a funny guy. I won, funniest guy in high school, 2 years in a row. So I couldn't understand it. I would get up there and talk for 3 to 5 minutes. People, but the great thing, and this is why I loved it so much, the open mic night. The audience understood that you were learning. I mean, it's open mic night. They understood. Yeah. This is amateur night. If you were funny, but if you weren't good, or even as a singer or playing a musical instrument, they would just sit there and just be quiet, politely until you get off the stage, until your 3 minutes are up. In other words, no booing, no get off the stage. They were very polite. They just sat there quietly until you were finished. It was very nice. So I had no fear of getting up on the stage and just talking for 3 minutes until I said something funny. But it took me 6 months to get to the 3 minute hunk where I get on stage and for 3 minutes I was funny. And then who walks in the door? Jack Rollins. You got a manager? No. You want one? Yeah. How about me? Okay. All right, fine. You're opening for Woody. What? Yeah. Oh, okay. That was cool. And yeah, they wouldn't laugh as much for me because I was doing drug and cursing, drug humor. Still wasn't doing drugs. I was cursing, but I wasn't doing drugs. That came later. That came in the committee, and then, and then pressure, yeah, it was kind of, I liked, and if you do a one-man show, you get the respect again, I guess is where I'm going. I want just listen politely. This is a one-man show. This is not, a nightclub. This is not I mean, when I opened for the Lovin' Spoonful in an arena, the kids, I thought it was a college. They do this. They do drugs. They talk. No, I started talking, doing my stuff. And, in arenas, these old wooden movie seats where you could take the wooden armrests off. If you pushed them forward, they slid off. Mm-hmm. They were throwing them at me. And the guys in the back, because they had the lights on in this auditorium. It was an auditorium. It was Washington University in Louisiana, in the St. Louis. They had an auditorium. So the kids were taking them off, the first 2 rows, and they were throwing, get off the stage, bring on a Lovin' Spoonful. I'm saying, hey, I thought this was rock and roll. No, get off the stage. Throwing, I'm ducking and the Lovin' Spoonful, and then it's like, yeah, no. Curse some more. They wanted a riot. Keep going. Don't stop. And then I see in the back, no girls were throwing them, but I see in the back, all the guys in the back are knocking their armrests off and passing them down to the guys in the front row because they didn't have any more. So they would just throw. So now they had a supply. Yeah, cool. Boom. Yeah, give me another one. And then the cops come down the side of the road, the side of the aisle, and pulled me off the stage. Yeah, it was fucking weird. Them were the days.
Well, looking forward now.
Okay, good. Let's do that.
What would you say is next for Larry Hankin when things resume?
Well, I got this movie that I'm trying to sell now. It's called A Night in the Country, and it's a female-driven comedy chiller vampire movie, and there's a part in it for me too. God, it's kind of funny. It's a real twist on the vampire legends. I just took it and or I tied it in a nice little knot. I mean, there's gangs, there's $100,000 in money. Yeah, it's in a haunted house. The house isn't haunted, but I mean, it's an old, dilapidated house. And so that movie. Then I have my website, which I'm designing T-shirts. You see these paintings on the wall? These are my paintings. This one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They're kind of protest paintings. They're prints. So I'm having them put on T-shirts. But I have 42 of these paintings. And they're on my website. They're all not protest ones. There's animals, there's elephants and dogs and people and women and men, and they're just all kinds of stuff. So I've been doing them, in my spare time. I do them. So they're going to be put on T-shirts. They're going to be printed on T-shirts. I'm not going to paint on T-shirts. And the selling point is I just finally found, I guess because of digital and modern times right now, they have incredible printing techniques where they can get these kind of bright, intense colors on a T-shirt. Well, yours are pretty cool. I mean, that's pretty intense colors and stuff. So like that. They'll go on black and white and green and yellow, any kind of T-shirts. So I'm setting that up. Then I'm selling these paintings also. That one's $500. That one's $500. T-shirts are only $30, $35. So it's much cheaper. And I think I'm going to sell smaller ones that are cheaper too. And then I got my videos, all my videos, my little short films that I make and write and do on the reallarryhankin.com. So what else is next? I'm just saying this proudly. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere because the negotiations started 2 days ago. But I'm negotiating with this company in India who Friends has been re-released all over the world recently. And so Friends is like huge in India. And who's the hugest one in India? Mr. Heckles, my character. And I just got a call from, they say, hey, do you know that Friends is big in India? No, I didn't know that. Well, we'd like you to do something for us, for all these friends who really love you in India. I go, okay. Now, so that's brings a smile to my face. Oh, I'm loved in India, and in Asia. The problem is, and that's why it's not, great. There's a difference between what I want to do and what other people want me to do. Yeah. And so that's where it all falls apart. I am not, unfortunately for me, I'm not driven by money. So they can offer me a lot of money and I have no compunction about turning it down. Because if it's something I don't want to do, because I've done things for money that I didn't want to do. Yep. And it's not worth it, man. It's just not. And that's very seriously not worth it. So I've been there and done that. So I'm trying to convince them to let, if they like me so much, they might like what I want to do. Yeah, so that's what we're talking about now. I'm waiting for their answer. I just sent them what I want to do. They sent me what they want to do. Now I just sent them an email and I said, call and let's talk because I want to do this. Yeah. So that's where kind of it's going. Meanwhile, I'm trying to sell the screenplay, the funny, chiller, female-driven, vampire movie, because that would be so cool to do. That would just be. I mean, it's funny, but it's scary, and I'd be in it, and I'd write it,
That's
too.
perfect.
So that's what I want to do. I mean, that's if you just want to know a blank answer, I want to make movies. I want to be in the movies I make. I want to be in the movies I make. That's what's called.
Yeah. And maybe a one-man show. I'd love to see you
well,
do a one-man show.
Yeah. I mean, that's me too. A friend of mine, well, Carl Gottlieb, I don't know, he wrote Jaws. You know Jaws. That movie Jaws.
I think I've already seen that.
Yeah, so we went to college together. So that's why he's my friend. And we've kind of stuck together all these years. And he wants to do something with me. We're talking about doing something together, writing something together. But he said, well, how about? So he was pitching me what he wants, what his ideas. So he said, well, we could get a younger you, and the idea was based on it was a younger me that was in jail and singing this song that I wrote, which is kind of a funny song, and it would be funny for a juvenile delinquent to be singing it behind bars. That's the funny part.
Mm-hmm.
So I go, no, and I said this seriously, and I just blurted it out. I go, no, Carl. This is about me, Carl, not a younger me. I just heard that and I go, wow, it's come to this, Larry. Yeah. But he got it. He understood. I said, down the road, when we establish the character, then you can do a younger me, like Chris Rock. He had a series, but he established Chris Rock first. So let's just do that, okay? Yeah, okay. So he agreed. So that was, but that kind of blew my mind when I was on the phone. No, Carl, me. Okay. I guess everybody, it's sooner or later, if you're in show business, that thought does go through your mind, and then it's beaten out of you. by everybody else. There's nobody who goes for that. Oh yeah, okay, you. The funny part was the last thing that Carl and I wrote was a mockumentary, little 3-minute mockumentary that won a first prize. But basically, it was the premise was you can't work alone by yourself. Basically, that was it. You can't be an individual in show business and work alone by yourself. You need other people. I mean, it's just, there's no such thing. Even if you're standing on the stage alone, the spotlight is on you. Yeah. It's probably about 10 or 20 people, behind the curtain who, if they leave, you're fucked. No more you. So that was the last, and then there I am writing that with him and then yelling to him, it's about me, Carl, but I need you, don't leave me.
You got to help me make it about me.
Yeah, you got to help me. So that's where I'm heading, just one-man show or movie. That's really my desire.
Well, I want to thank you very much for coming on and talking to us.
Oh, thank you. Talking at you. Because I listened to you guys. And you guys were really, one of the reasons I like it was you actually were talking about Esoterica. You were talking about this, trivial things, but you really got into it. So I was thinking that we would all three, be talking about Esoterica, but I just like to talk, so too bad.
Wait. We enjoy listening. So
yeah.
That's one of
Cool. The next time we'll talk about what you guys want to talk about. Okay?
Well, and I was saying earlier, like I was thrilled that you picked this album too, because one of the things that I'm jealous about, and I don't want to discount the entire generation today, but I like a lot of music from that era, whether it's Bob Dylan or it's like Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd. To be alive and hear these things when they first happened, like when that was a brand new album, that's an amazing experience that I've never, will probably never have. I can't see.
Yeah. Well, I did hear it when it came out. I didn't understand it, but when I finally did, I was all over it, man. I was just like into it. So, that kind of is an excuse for not understanding it at first. But, the guy taught me how to write. I'll give him that. He taught me how to write, So cool. But I'm glad, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Well, thanks again.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Really, I like talking to you.